Hi everyone, we're back live here at the Guidewell Connect Insights Lounge. We're here at day 2 of the AHIP Institute and Expo. My name is Kate Warnock, and we have our new guest here. We have Eugene Sayan. So welcome to the interview.
Thank you, Kate. Great to be here.
Eugene, you are the CEO of Softheon.
That is correct.
All right, let's get into your questions. You know, Eugene, having researched you, you are undoubtedly an expert in data analytics. You realize the challenges in the health industry when we lack standardization and face too many silos. Do you see a time when those issues will be resolved?
Excellent question. So, dating back to 2008, when we were asked by, at the time, by our partners to help them architect and build Omnicare. And we realized the importance of the integrated platform solutions that is needed for, nowadays we title it as digital healthcare commerce or digital commerce for payer organizations. So really what it boils down to, over the years, data has been siloed to the great extent for the purpose of optimization. And in a way that, that even within the enterprise itself, is being disfranchised altogether. So it's been already, let it be the M&As over the time or as the technology has evolved. So what we've seen is their organizations are basically dealing with this expensive array of different sources of data, different velocities, meaning that the speed of the, and different speed, and the frequency of the data is being refreshed altogether too. I think the ACA and exchanges in general, this whole movement towards the consumerization, it highlights now the fact that these silos has to be broken down.
Undoubtedly.
It has to be come together. So we now work with organizations that at any given time, as many as 17 different data silos that have to be put together. So creating that one unified experience for the consumer so that they can feel that they are empowered, they can feel that they're being serviced in the best possible way in their decision-making process, and then ability to really benefit from this whole essence of the healthcare methodology, if you will.
You know, so Eugene, just a moment before you were on stage with us, we had Marilyn Tavener, obviously the president and CEO
of
AHIP,
Marilyn,
and a fantastic background in the public sector too.
Sure.
And she was addressing how the consumer today is simply expecting instant access to their benefits. They want things personalized, you know, and how can we get there if we don't have data?
Absolutely.
So what you're doing is really architecting really the customer experience of the future.
Absolutely. So the biggest challenge there is, you know, how do you get there? How do you work with a consumer? Today, they're very comfortable using Priceline for shopping for their airlines, right? Or using Progressive for buying their car insurance. The very next thing they do is getting to the healthcare. It's almost like hitting basically a brick wall.
Right.
It's literally, the experience stops right and there.
Right.
So we are literally busting those brick walls as we speak, using the technology and using really the ACA. I'm a big fan of Marilyn. She's done a fantastic job at CMS, and I think that it's just the acceleration of the movement, and in the process of bringing this new mentality, new paradigm shift, putting consumer at the center of that experience, rather than the risk awareness or risk avoidance component to it. That has been the cornerstone of managed care process,
right,
if you will.
Right.
And dealing with that individual, dealing with their specific needs and requirements from shopping experience point of view all the way to the delivery of the services. Absolutely.
All right, so let's key off again your experience
Sure.
and your expertise at looking at this industry from a different light. You know, what excites you about this time in the health industry, and where might we be 5 years from now?
5 years. So it's another great question. So we think that it's definitely, you know, kind of cat is out the bag, right? So the cat being the consumer-driven health plans. On the one hand, you have this accelerating cost of healthcare. That's been overall a big problem.
Sure.
And we try to find an incremental, you know, optimization techniques and whatnot too. And over the years, as you know, the BPO outsourcing was one way to bring some efficiencies altogether. And those incremental savings, it is now actually being completely overhauled. So what we see over the next 5 years is that this big movement towards the owner and operator of these assets, IT, operations, and business, to the governor of the assets. What I mean by is we are seeing more and more CIOs and COOs and CFOs literally saying, we are not good at this. What we are good at this. So
Right.
you're good at provider contracting,
Right.
claims, customer service perhaps, but not necessarily what we are now calling as the digital healthcare. So in that context, I think we're going to start seeing more and more organizations, health plans, taking the traditional supplier role in the supply chain transformation, as I call it, and partnering with a distribution channels like Softheon, and partnering with the retailers, and taking that basically holistic view in a co-opetition, cooperating in some cases with some partners, and sometimes are competing. And
Co-opetition, I like it.
Co-opetition is the key word, exactly. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more co-opetition within the healthcare space.
I love it. Is that an original word to you, Eugene?
It's not. I cannot take the
No, you
ownership
can't take
claim
that.
for
It's
it.
new
No,
to
no.
me, but I love it.
It's a big quiz.
So how do you look at the need, Eugene, and then Softheon's part in bringing together different and sometimes disparate players, as you were just describing,
Right.
and voices from across the healthcare spectrum? How do you unify all of it to make it work together?
Right, absolutely. So it's really our goal is that we always talk about disruptors, right? And one thing that I've learned from some of the prior conversations that you had with some of your the guests altogether.
Yes.
If you're not upsetting somebody, you're not disrupting. Okay? So disruption is going to come with some pains, and we're already seeing that. Let the disruption in the in the government side of the business. Let it be what CMS is going through with healthcare.gov and so on and so forth. There are a lot of pain points altogether. But then there is the kind of the brighter side of the picture altogether. Once all the pains becomes, settles, if you will, and you start seeing a lot of changes that are really coming down altogether. And I think that's really the example of it. We understand the United's exits and a few others. There are some disruptions happening in the space, but on the look at the other side of it, we're seeing so many venture capital-backed investments, so many newcomers, let it be Oscar Health of the world, or Clovers, or let it be Welltucks of the world, Jeff Morgales, one of your past interview. He's done an amazing job. So what we are looking to do is finding ourselves in the presence of these, what I call like-minded organizations and individuals, and truly transforming the industry in a very collaborative fashion altogether. Because if we are go back to the one winner takes all mentality, if you will, that's kind of back to the future, right? So what we want to do is we want to be able to find ourselves in the presence of like-minded thought leaders who wants to disrupt the space, but in a very positive way that is a win-win-win situation.
Right.
Okay, so consumer wins, organizations wins, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're talking about $3 trillion of expenditure going into this, and some wise person told me that 50% of them is a waste and abuse. So I think if we focus on that and use the technology, use the data, use the metrics as a means of understanding how the consumers are engaging healthcare and extracting the expense and fraud out of it, I think that is the ultimate game.
Well, you paint a really exciting picture, and I think too, looking across, we're here at the stage, here at the Expo, and so many different partners that are here, within this ecosystem that you say it's all about collaboration. And if we all remember that, it's the consumer, it's the member, it's the patient, it's the individual that we're here to serve, we all win.
Absolutely.
So, final question for you, Eugene.
Yes.
You have so many clients. I wonder if you can extract for us, what are the key learnings that for Softheon between helping your clients work with large groups and individual consumers? Are there any parallels between the two?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think our approach to technology, ultimately technology is a tool. Really, technology by itself doesn't bring any value.
Right.
I always call it's the pencils that we sell it, but not necessarily us, the person who writes the novels and or the paints, if you will, with that brush stroke is that.
Right.
So in that context is that the consumers in general are being empowered. Let it be coming from the ACA world, or even within the large organizations. Healthcare is becoming more and more complex, if it's not already been complex. And now the decision-making process is now being pushed to the individuals, even in the individual setting, ACA settings, or in the small group to large group markets altogether too. So what we're seeing across the board ACA was the initial accelerator.
Right.
We are now moving the pendulum, swinging back to the small group, to the large group market. Granted that maybe there was kind of over-excitement in the space of private exchanges. Initially, we're talking about 10 million people. Now the real numbers are about maybe 6 to 8.
Right.
Nevertheless, it is a growing market where the large groups we view is another retail channel for quote unquote our health payers as a suppliers. So in that, basically the ever expanding role of the large group market and them becoming a private exchange of their own, lack of a better term, and individuals will continue to be the center of focus, if you will. Let it be they're buying the product directly from ACA, healthcare.gov or other entities, or purchasing the product through their employers in a large group settings altogether too. Ultimately, it's about empowering the consumer, giving the tools, and making complex things simple. And to me, that's the real genius. The real genius is making this complex healthcare, making it as simple as experiencing an Amazon experience.
Right.
Buying the product, 24 hours later, shows up in your doorsteps. And that is the ease, that's the challenge. That's the challenge that we're facing with not just us as an industry.
All right. Well, I know that Softheon is really so well positioned to help so many different clients help us get to that ideal future state. So Eugene, thank you so much for spending your time with us here, sharing your insights at the Guidewell Connect Insights Lounge.
Absolutely.
My name is Kate Warnock. We are going to be up shortly with another interview. Thanks so much for watching.